Y'all, I just sat down to record and just started talking without my mic, without my headphones in, and was like, yep, this be the podcast. But, let's go from the top. Hello? Is there anyone out there? Is there anyone listening? Welcome. Welcome and welcome back to Dear Aliens. I am your host, Molly, and thank you so much for tuning in to find out what makes me want to get beamed up. Y'all, I had a totally different episode planned, but then, things happen, inspiration sparks, so here we are, right here, right now. I will be drinking tea because it is pretty early in the morning, so I do need to caffeinate. This is a mug that my mother got me for Christmas 2 years ago. It has this old-fashioned woman on it, and it says, "This has been lovely, but I have to go scream now." My mom knows me so well. Love you. But now, let's go right in with the would you rather. And I was like, that was the only thing I struggled with for this episode was what will the would you rather be? And then I realized, would you rather be an orientation leader or a tour guide? And I'm asking that as someone who was both. Let me just give you a little bit of what it looks like into those two worlds so that you can accurately make a decision on this answer. Being an orientation leader is one of the most odd experiences, and I don't know if it was just my college, but you will never meet a larger group of people who I feel like are kind of on a power trip. I will say, I will be the self-proclaimed, I was not a good OL because my first year, I did not bond with anyone. I literally showed up for all of my workshops, and at the end of the day, I went back to my room. I was like, I don't think I'm really connecting with these people. Then the second year I was an OL, I did not give a single fuck. I was a senior at that point. I was a student government president for campus. I did not care. I was like, these people can like me. These people cannot like me. People can hang out with me. I can sit here alone and be just as content. And I was so much happier that year. But let me tell you, and I'm not calling out any of my fellow OLs because OLs, did a lot of work, I will say, right at the beginning of school. And the way, how I know I can say that they did a lot of work and know that that's the truth is because I did a lot of work. For example, I told my group was all girls. Both years, I had 15 to 18 girls. Terrifying. But I adore all of them. I adore all of you. You're all amazing. I was the type of OL, I did not do icebreakers. I never did icebreakers. The first thing I said to my group once everyone got there, I would just kind of make small talk, oh, how was everyone's drive? What do you think of the campus? Have you been here before? And that might be an odd question, but sometimes it's people apply to a college, get in and show up, but have never been. Once I have all of my group members, I gather all of them around and I go, does anybody here want to do an icebreaker? Even if just one of you wants to do an icebreaker, we will. And everyone in unison was like, no. And I said, awesome. And what I pulled out of my backpack, and I had this plan because I never planned on doing any of the icebreakers. I said, I've brought all of these pieces of paper. I want you to write down all the questions you have. You don't have to sign your name. We're going to put them in this bag I brought. And every time we have spare time, we're going to answer these questions. And they were like, oh, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing dumb shit. You are all in the same major. You're all going to be packed together like rice for the next 4 years. You don't need to learn your names now because you're not going to be able to forget their names. That's all I have to say. Despite how that's the type of orientation leader I was, the second year, my senior year that I was an orientation leader, I completely abandoned my group. And you know what? It wasn't my fault. And I'll tell you why. So I'm standing, waiting for my group members to show up. I have maybe 3-4 of my kids. And this boy approaches me and he goes, hi. He says his name. He goes, my orientation leader told me to come and find you. I'm not feeling well. I think I'm going to pass out. Excuse me, what? So I was like, oh, come with me right now. Let's go inside. Let's sit down, get some water and a snack because I need to find out more what's going on. And in the back of my head, I'm like, who the fuck is his OL? Who is this OL who said, go to Molly? You didn't know what to do in a medical emergency? Are you literally an idiot? And I'm actually asking, did you not actually know what to do in this medical emergency? You could have just texted our boss and been like, hey, one of my group members is not feeling well. He thinks he might pass out. What should I do? That's literally what she's there for. So the fact that this person said, oh, go to Molly, of course I knew I would handle it. And maybe they said, go to me because they knew I would handle it. But shame on you for not knowing this step. Or shame on you for not coming with them to me. Because I was very out of water on all of that situation. So rude, but dude, I hope you had a great experience. I'm so glad I helped you and that you ended up being okay. But that OL, yeah, you dropped the ball on that. You dropped the ball. Let me tell you something else about orientation leaders. I thought that there was the rule not to date any of the kids in your group. And let me be clear, everyone is over the age of 18. No one's going to go to jail. I just find it to be a power trip and creepy and odd to date kids from your group. Popular opinion. It's not an unpopular opinion. It's literally a popular opinion. It is creeper energy to be like, oh, I'm your mentor on campus. You can come to me for anything that you need. Ew, ew, ew. That's all I have to say. The type of orientation leader that I was, I told my kids, do not have unprotected sex. That might sound crazy, but I wanted to make sure that they were going to be safe on campus. So I said, do not have any unprotected sex. I said, the health center is open on weekdays between 9 and 5. They have a giant bowl of condoms in there. Please take some. I said, if you're too embarrassed to go in there, let me know. I'll go in there. I'll grab them for you and meet you in Callahan, like put it in a little bag, like pass it to you, whatever. I was just adamant. I wanted to make sure that they were going to have safe sex to the point where I said, if you find yourself in a situation on campus where you're about to have sex and you don't have a condom, call me. And if I'm around, I will bring you a condom. One of my kids actually did that. My first year, one of my kids called me and was like, Molly, I'm over in this residence hall and I'm literally about to have unsafe sex. No one has a condom. And I said, I am on my way. Anyone who knows me knows I am not a runner. I do not run. I only run for my life. I ran across campus and I lived on the other side of campus. I ran basically to the ocean to give one of my kids a condom just so she would have protected sex. And I don't regret it. I would do that every single day of the week. That's my one shining moment in being an OL. When I get down on myself about it, I think about that one moment and it really makes me feel like I did make an impact. So jumping into the other side of this, would you rather, it's being a tour guide. And I loved being a tour guide. It was one of my favorite jobs ever. But sometimes you're like put in a position where you feel like you have to embellish the truth or tell a half truth or just outright lie, which is awful because my biggest fear as a tour guide and the fact that I was also student government president, so I was making speeches at like open house, accepted students day. When you have people coming up to you and saying things like, oh, I was on your tour. Oh, I saw your speech and that like helped me make my decision to come to this college. That is a lot of pressure because I want those people to have a great experience. And beyond that, I also want them to be safe. And you might be like, safe? That's an odd thing to say. Yes, I do mean safe. So here's one of the funniest tour guide stories I ever heard. There was a tour that was going into the academic center. And when they got in there, one of the dads on tour was like, it smells like asbestos in here. And then a woman was like, this is what my house smells like. Oh my God, lady, your kid is not going to make it to this college. Your house is filled with asbestos. And you'd probably be like, well, y'all were sitting in classrooms filled with asbestos. Yeah, we know. We paid a lot of money to sit in those asbestos filled rooms. Having to finesse things on a tour is an art, let me tell you. Being able to handle any question that's being thrown at you. I've had people come up to me with large tours and be like, what's your statistic on sexual assault? What's the point of what's the rate of reports? What's the rate of like reported but no like further steps forward? And those are really hard questions to answer. I happen to know a lot about the answers, but they're very hard to answer, especially if you have people who are not informed on your tour. So there's people who will be incredibly informed who will be on your tour, and then there'll be people who know absolutely nothing, and you're shattering their illusion. Maybe their illusion should be shattered. Mine was not. I thought that school was basically Disneyland, which I'm not saying it's not Disney. I mean, it's not Disneyland. There's no roller coasters, no teacups. There's not like the same food. But I was having the time of my life because it was college. I got to party and I made some of the best friends of my life. Being a tour guide came with tour guide trauma. Let me tell you. I was not only like a school year tour guide, I was a summer tour guide as well. That was the absolute best. Loved being a summer tour guide. But obviously, sometimes there's going to be drama. And the girl that I was roommates with that summer, well, one of my roommates that summer was also a tour guide. And she was kind of difficult to get along with, I will say. But I was trying pretty hard to be her friend. And all of the other tour guides, like we all got to know each other. We all kind of liked each other. And she just had this weird air about her where specifically her problems were always bigger than yours. Like no matter what you were saying, like even if you weren't even complaining, you're just like telling her about something that's happening in your life, she's gonna one up it. And it was like, did you hear what I said? Do you care about what I say? So maybe some of those are unlikable qualities. And when it's consistently like shoved in your face every single day when you work with that person and live with that person, sometimes you come to resent them, which is okay. Resentment is a totally normal feeling. But you know when it comes to the next level, when your coworker and your roommate sit at your kitchen table with her friend and they drink wine out of your wine glasses and then call you an alcoholic. Imagine that. Imagine drinking out of someone's wine glasses and then be calling that person an alcoholic. You have to be out of your mind. So this girl's she's on my list. She's already been irritating me. And she has no idea that I'm taking a nap in my room. So she feels so comfortable to talk shit in our home. Girl, you better be prepared for the consequences. So I hear her start talking, saying her little things. And after she's done roasting me, she starts to roast my coworkers. Yep, our other coworkers, the other tour guides. She literally is going in on every single one of them. And I'm laying in my bed like, oh my God. And I'm typing it on my phone. I'm taking records. Because you know what? She was really annoying me, but she literally imploded her own life. I didn't have to do anything. I was innocently trying to take a nap, not even eavesdropping. Imagine being asleep and then hearing someone call you an alcoholic. That's hilarious. It's not hilarious. So I have all of the little things written down that she's just said about all of our coworkers. So I get dressed really quietly. I come down the hallway. Her head whips. His head whips. They're looking at me wide-eyed. And I just smiled and walked out. I just smiled. That's my Joker moment. Let me tell you. Obviously, I told all of my friends, all the coworkers, and she got shunned for the rest of the summer. She literally had to go do data entry most of the time because none of us want to talk with her. But you know what? When you're going to call us all of those names, when you're going to accuse us of all these different things, you're not going to be well liked anymore. So solitary confinement, that is a good punishment. Yeah, for you it is. I was going to say my worst day in tour guiding, but I actually have two worst days. I actually have two terrible days of tour guiding that come to mind. The first one was when I had a kidney infection. So I had a kidney infection my senior year. Of course, during the month that we were drinking champagne in my wine class, so I'm just having to watch everyone drink really expensive champagne while I sit there and suffer. Anyway, I have a kidney infection, and it's acceptance students day or fall break, one of those days where like thousands of people are coming to tour the campus. So I've been up since 6:30. I've been directing traffic, welcoming people on campus. It is now 8:30, maybe 9 in the morning, and we're waiting for the speeches to finish so that we can take the tour groups out. And I'm set to take the last groups out. Like I always end up taking like one of the last 3 tour groups out. I'm not doing well. Not at all. Came to find out that day, my antibiotics had not been working for the entire week that I had been taking them, so my kidney infection was getting worse. I'm upstairs waiting for these speeches to finish. I'm sitting in a chair similar of this size with my jacket over my head, sobbing. I literally was in so much pain. All I could do was cry. And then one of the administrative assistants comes up to me and is like, "Stop crying, you're fine." And I was like, "You didn't even ask what's wrong with me. What if I have an open wound underneath this jacket?" I don't, I have a kidney infection. But I like looked up at her and I literally just like put the jacket over my head and continued to cry because I was in so much pain. I thought I was gonna die. Finally, it's like 3 minutes before the tours are going to come out. My boss, who I absolutely adore, I've always adored her from the moment I met her. She actually interviewed me to get into the college. So full circle, she comes up to me and she's like, she crouches down and she's like, "You can go home." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And I literally got up. I didn't even say anything to anyone. I just got up, like slipped my jacket on, and I cried all the way from our gymnasium back to my dorm, which is like a good trek through the main part of campus. So all these people are coming to visit the school and I'm just crying. They're just watching me walk through this campus crying. And I couldn't do anything different about it. But that wasn't my worst day as a tour guide. My worst day as a tour guide was the day I had a breakdown. Junior year, I did way too much. Like, I'm so shocked that no one told me to slow down. Or maybe people did tell me to slow down and I just didn't hear it. So I was in 8 classes. I worked at my work study job. I was a student government president. I was helping another club and organization get off the ground. I'm juggling all of these different things, including being an orientation leader. And one day when I walk into work, it's a regular day, and I go to class right after work. No one shows up. Imagine showing up to your work study job where you give tours and no one shows up. And for some reason, no one was getting reamed. No one showed up for my entire shift, the 3 hours that I was there. And you need probably 3 people to run the office successfully, someone to sit at the front desk and 2 people to answer their phones in the back. So if someone at the front desk has to leave or go on tour, someone can always come up and fill in. No, it's just me. So I'm sitting at the front desk. I'm trying to like handle all of this stuff. And I also have homework because let's not forget, this was a work study job. And part of that is doing homework and studying while you're also at work. And now I don't have that opportunity because I have to be every single position in this place. That's very frustrating. And no one was around to like talk to me about it. So I'm just having to roll with the ball. And finally, one of my bosses, not the one I adore, a different boss, comes up to me and is like, "Molly, you need to go out on tour." And I said, "All right, no problem." I take my tour out. I do my thing. I impress them. They laugh. We come back. And I was like, awesome. I have like 40 minutes until class. I can do my homework. And as I'm coming back to the building, like just as my tour is finishing outside the front doors, I'm thinking, by now, some new people must have shown up for the shift. Come inside. There's still no one there. Not a single student has come in for their shift yet. And I don't understand what happened that day. And I wasn't bold enough with my coworkers to be like, "What the fuck?" So I go back to the front desk and I'm really just kind of stressed because I had homework and things that I wanted to finish before this class. And maybe you're like, "That's careless. You should have planned it." Yeah, you know what? I was in 8 classes, so tell me about it. My boss, the same one that sent me out on tour, comes back around. He goes, "Molly, I'm going to need you to go back out on tour." And I said, "I can't because I have to be in class before the tour would be over." And he was like, "Well, you have to give it." And I looked this man in the eyes and I said, "No, I'm not going out on tour. And he walked away. And then 15 minutes later came back and was like, all right, so you're going to go out on tour. And I said to him, and I looked at him, and I said, I just told you I was not going out on tour. I cannot go out on tour, and I will not go out on tour. And he said, go get your jacket, you're going on tour. And just completely acted like he didn't hear me every time I said I couldn't go on tour. So I go in the back, I get my jacket, and I also take my backpack because the class I'm going to, this teacher does not fuck around. Let me be clear. Like, this is the type of teacher where if you are late, she will lock the door so you cannot come in. So being late to this class is very stressful for me because today was also a review for a project. So I needed to be there to get my critiques for my group project so that everyone continued to pull their weight. So I have a right to be stressed. I take this family of 3 out on tour, and I get halfway through my tour. I'm outside the library, and my class has already started at this point. So I turned to this family, and I just said, I have to be really honest with you. I have to go to class right now. It's not a class that I can miss. I am so sorry that I cannot finish your tour. And they interject, they're like, oh my gosh, they're like, please go to your class. Like, no problem at all. Like, we'll finish it on our own. I was like, no, you don't have to. I was like, if you go back up to the building, and I like pointed up like the hill, I said, there should be another tour guide, another student there to finish your half of the tour. Tell them that you stopped at the library. I was like, I am so sorry that I have to leave you here, but I have to go to my class. Because when it came down to me making that choice in the moment over my work study job and my class is going to win because that's my degree. If I get fired from my work study job, I'll go get a different work study job. Let me be really honest. And if no one on campus will hire me, fine, I'll go get a job off campus. But I wasn't going to mess with my grades. That was far more important. No regrets. So I send that family back up, and I literally cry all the way to my class. And yeah, I did have a breakdown that day, rightfully so, because that was really fucked up, let me tell you. Being an orientation leader and being a tour guide will take a lot out of you. So imagine being one person and experiencing all of these things consistently, except for the fact, I want to make it clear, I never ever hit on any of my kids because I'm not a creepy. I don't know. That's it. Like, they're not there to be romantic options. There are people who were 17 less than a year ago. There are people who were literally minors moments ago. I just find it odd, but whatever, not my business. Yo, that was really intense. I didn't mean to make it really intense, but tour guiding and orientation really took me to a whole nother place. And I talk a lot about personas on my TikTok, and that was really the time where I started building all of these different personas. Like, there was the orientation me, there was the tour guide me, there was class me, and then there was who I felt like I really was in my private life when I'm not in any of those classes or at work. So I had inspiration, and I wanted to talk about shows from the early 2000s that I feel like they're not forgotten gems, but we don't actively think about them, but I think that we should. I was so inspired, I literally wrote it down on a sticky note because I was like, I don't want to forget this. I was like, this is too important. I'm talking about the shows that were on Disney, like the Disney Channel original movies, very specifically, those kids like morning-ish shows on Nickelodeon and PBS. Those are the lanes I'm driving in. So let me start from PBS, because I feel like that was the one that we all watched. PBS, right? Channel 11 in the Midwest. Arthur was an icon. Okay, and by that, the show Arthur was iconic. Arthur himself, DW, she is a commerce agent. That's what I've decided. She is basically Lady Liberty. Everyone in that show was so clearly curated. And one of the best spin-off shows was Buster Baxter, when he travels around the world and he meets all those people. That was a great show. And now that's making me think about the show Zaboomafoo with the Kratt brothers. I did not say crap. I said Kratt brothers. They made me want to be in nature, just like Robert Irwin. He makes me want to be in nature. He wants me to hang out with the animals, but I'm afraid of animals, as we all know. PBS had a way of putting shows out there. Maya and Miguel, I was like, I can totally speak Spanish. Like, why did I fully understand that show? I actually now went on YouTube a couple of months ago and I typed in Maya and Miguel and I clicked on an episode, and about 2 minutes into it, I realized that the episode was completely in Spanish. And maybe it's because my mind likes to remember like content items, but I knew everything that they were saying and I fully understood the episode. Maya and Miguel was canon twins. I feel like that is a show that made me want to twin. That, and I'm actually going to have to do things that made me want to twin, because that list is very, very long. Double Teamed, Maya and Miguel, the Olsen twins, the Sprouse twins. The list could go on and on. And the thing is, I want to talk about the underrated twins. But I digress. Back to PBS. Arthur, iconic. Maya and Miguel, cultural explosion. And by that, I mean, like, that for a lot of kids, that was probably the first time that they were experiencing a language outside of English, a family that wasn't just white. And on the other side, for families that were Latino, it was like, wow, I'm actually seeing myself on TV. And seeing that at such a young age is an amazing thing. And I love that. Also, I think bridging the gap there, and not exactly Dragon Tales. Emmy and Max, I don't actually know if they might just be white. I'm not sure. Dragon Tales knew how to do it. I wanted to go to Dragonland so bad. I might be afraid of all animals, but I am not afraid of dragons, let me tell you. Quetzal was the principal. I know about gazpacho because of Quetzal. Cassie showed me what not having confidence was. From a young age, I was like, Cassie needs confidence. I was like, she's great. She's smart. She should really just like believe in herself. Another set of twins, Wheezy and that other one. One was purple and one was green. Was it like Wheezy and Breezy? Reezy and Breeze? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though. And they were always arguing. Sometimes they would twist their necks up like they were giraffes. But then they brought on like a new character. It was like at first when Dora the Explorer got Diego and you were like, who is this dude and why was he here? When they brought him in, I was like, who is he and why is he here? I was like, I don't care about him. But then you learn to like him and then it's like, whatever. I want to talk about one of my favorite shows. And when I think about it now, it's shocking because I'm so bad at math and science. Who remembers the show Cyber Chase? Cyber Chase, we're moving, we're beating hacker at his game. That was, oh my goodness. Watching that back, I feel so smart. I mean, I guess it's like kids math, but I feel so smart. Cyber Chase knew how to do it. We have a great team of kids. We have a woman-led operation. These kids going throughout space. They're catching Hacker. They're defeating him. And my favorite episode is the one with that weird slug and they have to go in the ocean and protect him and he can camouflage. And I don't know, he needs to like collect phosphorus or whatever to breathe. That was a weird episode, but I loved it. Motherboard, she is mother. That's all I have to say. But one of my favorites on Fetch One of my favorites on PBS was Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, because why were we listening to a dog? This dog was like, go on these challenges, do these things. And we were like, yeah, we will do this. Like, he had all these kids running up and down, doing all these errands. I don't think that Ruff Ruffman was qualified. I thought he was funny, but he was kind of demanding. Like, couldn't you say please every once in a while? I don't know. That's just my opinion. But that show is such a funny concept to me. I'm always just like, what is going on? And when like they would get a new kid, I would be like, oh my God, what happened to the old kid? Did like him and like Ruff Ruffman like get into it? Like, are they not cool anymore? So he's not on the show. And I knew it was a cartoon character, but I also thought that he was like the producer of the show. I don't know why, but my brain was like, he produces this show with a team of people, which doesn't make any sense because he's a cartoon character. So I want to go over to Nickelodeon for a moment, because where PBS and Nickelodeon have a crossover is Clifford the Big Red Dog. And Clifford made me think that I could be a pet owner to a dog, even though I'm kind of afraid of dogs. So it doesn't make any sense because Clifford is literally the biggest dog, but he's so well trained. Can we talk about that for a second? Like, some of those other dogs in that show, like the normal size ones, they were so bad. That little girl one, she was such a bad little dog, always causing drama. That sneaky one, always, being sneaky. Clifford's out here being the voice of reason, a moral compass. Emily Elizabeth was so lucky. Her family gave up living in the city so that she could keep her giant ass dog. They moved to Birdwell Island. Her family moves to an island for her and this big red dog. She better be so grateful. How they just got all that money though? I mean, I guess if they have an apartment in the city, they could afford to live on an island. But I don't know the math on that. But Clifford made perfect sense to me. And I thought that could be a real thing. Like, I was like, maybe one day there really will be like a giant dog. And there are giant dogs out there. Google it on YouTube. You'll find like massive Malamutes. And you're just like, what the hell? But I really thought that a dog could grow to that size because of that show. I want to take you back to one of my favorite shows that when I think about it, the theme songs are still playing in my head and it brings me peace. And that's something that all of the shows I'm talking about today have in common, was their intros go so hard. And that's how you knew it was going to be a good show from the very start. Even Dragon Tales, like the little drum at the beginning, you know that show's going to be hidden. I want to talk about the show Oswald. That blue octopus who had the hot dog wiener dog. His best friend was a daisy. Please tell me you remember this shit, because it was so good. You know I tell no lies. I wanted a wiener. I actually to this day still want a wiener dog, which might be confusing if you listen to all of my previous statements about being afraid of dogs. I want a wiener dog so bad because I wanted to be Oswald. I don't know why. Maybe I think it was a little top hat. And I feel like my bun kind of like looks like what his hat looks like. But I thought that Oswald, he was the adult. Like when I saw him, I was like, that's what being an adult is. And that might be weird because you're like, he's a blue fictional octopus. Yeah, but he had his own apartment. He had his own dog. He went to his job. That's an adult to me. He went to social gatherings with multiple friends. He goes to get ice cream. Tell me Oswald is not an adult. Tell me that you should not envy Oswald. He is a person to look up to. Okay, he's not a person. He is a blue fictional octopus to look up to because he is living the adult life, socializing, going to work, having a pet. I will ride or die for Oswald. I didn't realize how hard I would ride for him until this moment. But yeah, absolutely, ride or die for Oswald. The Backyardigans theme song, again, is a bop. It hits. It was a viral sound a couple of years ago. It just, no matter your age, you hear that and you kind of just like want to bounce. Like, love me some Backyardigans. That's all I have to say. Because they were travelers. Like, let's not pretend like they did not travel. And it's like, well, it was in their backyard. Do you not remember the imagination you had as a kid? I'm not saying that my imagination is dead. It has very much changed the way that it works, but I don't have the imagination I used to have as a child. And you know how I know that? I used to babysit these two little girls and we would play Barbies or those little dolls. We would play Barbies and I would always have like different characters to play. And I physically couldn't get into the mindset. Like I couldn't remember how to play Barbies. I was like 16 and I was like, you were playing with Barbies like 8 years ago. You know how to like come up with a storyline and I couldn't get into it. I couldn't make it through. And at one point I was like, oh, my Barbie died. And she was like, yeah. She was like, but it's coming back to life. We took her to the hospital. We shocked her a couple of times. And now we gave her a new head. So she's going to do well. And I was like, okay. And I was like, how long is she going to recuperate in the hospital? And the little girl's like, she has to go to work tomorrow. She's got 3 kids. Her husband divorced her last week. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, he did? And she's like, yeah. There was the entire town found out. Her friends are worried about her. One of them, like, you see that one? She knew about it. She's the one that's like, she's on the husband's side. She's going to leave with him. These little girls, the storylines, the plot lines they could come up with, I should have written it down because it was some good drama. To the point where in the summer when we would be in the pool, one of the little girls would have like a boogie board and she would have all of her dolls lined up and she'd be like, we're at the beach. I didn't even turn my back. I literally was, I don't know what I was doing. I was just like, I was in the pool with them, looking at them. And before I know it, the little girl who's like, my Barbies are having a beach party. Her sister like comes like it's WWE and body slams her boogie board and all the dolls go flying. Some of them start sinking to the bottom of the pool. And now the girl who did it, she's laughing. And you know what? It was really funny to see. I wouldn't have let her do that if I knew that's what she was doing. I thought she was coming over to play nicely. Clearly, she was there to cause chaos. And it was funny, but it's, the other little girl started crying. So I'm not going to laugh. I go over and I was like, it's okay. I was like, there was a tidal wave, but we're going to get them all back. Like, it's okay. And she was like, the ones at the bottom are dead. She was like, you can't just bring them back. And I was like, you never know. I was like, resuscitation works. Because I guess in that moment, I knew how to gain an imagination because I was like, how do I get this little girl to stop crying and just go back to playing with her Barbies on the beach? Because now the other girl, now that she's done that, she thinks it's funny. Like, she doesn't like that her sister's crying, but she just thinks it's funny to cause the chaos. So now she continuously wants to, like, every time all the Barbies get in, she's like, and I'm like, no, get back in your corner. I have to be like, if you're not going to play nicely, then you can't play beach party. Little girls are so funny. But that's when I realized, like, I did not have an imagination like that anymore. And the Backyardigans, they had such a great imagination. And I get that those are adult writers, but it's fostering the imagination in kids and the ways that they can dream and the ideas that they have. And I love that because the children are a future. I don't know what song that is. I don't know. Probably Gal Gadot sang it or whatever. And I know I said I wanted to talk about TV shows, and one of the channels I listed was Disney Channel. And the only one I really want to hit on Disney Channel is Little Einsteins. I felt like a musical genius because of that show. And I took band for 4 years. I quit in the 7th grade and my creepy band teacher made me unquit. And then in the 8th grade, I was like, no, I actually really quit because I hate it here. Like, first of all, I was last chair in the flute, and that's not a complaint. I liked being last chair because when we played Pirates of the Caribbean, I got to play the low flute part, which was way easier. And everyone's like, oh, like, is it okay that you're playing the low part? Absolutely. I'm the queen of staying in my lane and being content about things that I'm content about. If I wanted to be second chair in flute, I would have studied harder. I would have practiced more. And that's just the truth of it. Was I played flute because I was like, oh, this is cute and fun. But I didn't actually want to be like fully invested in that. Sorry, Mom, if you see this and you were like, I thought you were fully invested. I still could play my flute right now. I still have the fundamentals. But no, I did not feel bad about being last chair on flute. So I did not feel bad about quitting. Because also, I didn't like the other girls in flute anyway. The only one I liked was Ellen. Yeah, you heard it here first. The only one I liked in the flute section was Ellen. You can take it personally, everyone else. Little Einsteins, that music knew how to hit. Like, that intro, they always say that classical music fosters babies' brains. Classical music is going to foster anyone's brain. I was 6 years old, and my brother's like 1, and we're at our babysitter's, and that's playing on the TV. I can't tell you. Maybe that's why I had such a high love for music today, was because I was so surrounded by it, like every single morning, like it became a part of the routine. So throw it up to little Einsteins, musical geniuses, rocket ship flyers. You gotta love rocket ship. It made me want a rocket ship. I think it made everyone want a rocket ship, but it's also why I'm just like, ew, cars are boring, cars are slow. Why don't we all have rocket ships? Like, we've seen Back to the Future. Where are the flying cars? What's going on? Why does traffic still exist? I'm asking the important questions. I'm not solving them because I'm asking the questions. But those are like canon kids shows that really, I feel like, affected our brain chemistry. But is when I started diving into all of these different kids shows, and I ended up on Little Einsteins at Disney, that then thrust me, of course, into the Disney Channel original movies, aka the DCOMs. I want to talk about a few forgotten gems, and I'm going to do this more often because there are so many. I love watching old Disney Channel original movies like Johnny Capahala. That was great. But even older than that, like, has anyone seen the Aaron Carter Disney Channel original movie called Pop Star? He's literally the only famous person in it. It's about this teen pop star who he's kind of going crazy, like he needs to be grounded. So he gets sent to high school. And of course, you know, there's the mean hot girl. She's got a water bra because it's like 1993 in this movie. The hot girl is like, oh, you want to be with me? You want to sit at the cool table with me? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, cool. But then of course, because he's a pop star and like he's not been focused on school and he's kind of falling behind, he has to get a tutor. And of course, the tutor girl is like, oh, she's got glasses. Oh, she has braces. She has little butterfly clips in her hair, which in retrospect, that's cute, girl. You were being trendy. But back then they were like, oh, you're dressed like a little girl. Oh, you don't have any boobs. So this girl's like, oh, I'm just here to tutor you. He goes over to her house for a tutoring session and he meets her family and he's like, whoa, is this what a real family is like? And that's not me being sarcastic because child stars don't know what normalcy is, and how could they? They live in an entirely different world than the rest of us. So when he gets there and he's like, whoa, your family eats dinner together every single night, that is special because damn, that's a lot of work. But he's like, your family like makes time and like spends time together, like that's so odd. Like, I only talk to my family when it's about business, which is really sad. So of course, because she's a good sister, she's a good daughter, the family is easy to get along with. They take him in and they don't treat him like a pop star. They just treat him like a regular guy. He's like, wait, do I like you? And of course his manager's like, you can't like this plain girl. You're a pop star. What are you doing with this plain girl? And he's like, I want the normalcy. He was like, I'd rather go back to high school and be with her than go back on tour. Which, bro. She is great. But maybe still go on tour in the summer and go to school in the school year, but don't throw it all away for her. I just don't believe in giving up your dreams for another person. Even if you not even the person you love, because I feel like the person you love doesn't ask you to give up your dreams. Like, their dreams are my dreams and my dreams are their dreams. I don't know. That's just how I feel like it should work. So he's like, I just want to be with her. And then, of course, his manager like interferes and it's like, girl, like, you're not going to be good enough for him. Like, are you prepared for the fact that like he's a pop star and like girls love him? And when he goes on tour, like hot girls are going to be coming for him. Like, can you even compete with that? Imagine being 15 and having the boy you like's manager doing that to you. That is so low base. I can't even. So then, of course, they get a little romantic date. She gets her braces off. She straightens her hair. She has a cute little slip dress on. It is very, very cute. And they have this beach date. And it is so cute. Like, legitimately sitting on the hood of the convertible, watching the sunset, running through the waves. Just the cutest stuff. And then the next day he's like, I have to leave to go back on tour. And she's like, what the hell? She's like, why did we even start this then? She was like, I knew you were going to hurt me. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I'm really sorry. And then at his last performance, he's like, please come. And he like dedicates a song to her. And then the mean girl's water bra explodes. So you're like, that ending sounds bad. Okay, yes, But we're not there for the ending. We're there for the meat and the potatoes of the movie. We're there for him finding normalcy. We're there for her being like, oh, can I actually be with this pop star? The answer is no. But you want to take a trip? You want to pour one out for Aaron Carter visually? Watch Pop Star. I'm pretty sure you can find it in like 8 parts on YouTube, because that's how we be doing things. Or maybe it'll come to TikTok soon. You gotta love that. And when you're in the era of watching movies that are that old, you're gonna find the Disney Channel gem Double Teamed, which I can't believe that got greenlit. I cannot believe Disney greenlit that. It's about 2 twins, and I feel like the plot is that they're polar opposites. One is she's girly and she wants to be an actress. And then the other one, she is athletic and she wants to just play basketball. But they're both 6'2" gorgeous blondes. And they moved to California and everyone's like, oh, are you guys rich? And they're like, oh, yeah. Like, we're rich. They literally live in a 2-bedroom apartment, which is fine. So I don't know why they're lying about being rich. Okay, I do know why they're lying, because they're surrounded by a bunch of other rich people. So they're like, we got to be rich because they be rich. Oh, I just remembered. They're lying about the school district. They're lying about the school district that they live in, but they actually live in the apartment. That's what it was. I remember now. So these twins, they're polar opposites, but that's what makes them like cool, and they hang out with each other, and that's how they kind of get along, because they're not exactly the same. But then everyone is like, have you ever thought about asking your sister to play basketball? And the one sister is like, no, that's my thing. She doesn't like that. She likes drama. She wants to be a part of the drama club. And they pressure and they pressure and they pressure them until both girls decide to be like, fine. We'll be on the same team. And of course, like, they're trying to find their groove. They're killing it. And of course, the athletic one gets hurt. And the girly one, who's now on the team, she's killing it. And everyone's like, oh my God, she's so talented. So the other one is like, what the fuck? Like, this was literally my lane. You've come and stomped all over it. You've taken everything I've been working for. We literally came to this school district so I could play basketball. And look where we are now. The sister's like, well, I didn't even want to do this. So it's like, look at how this school tried to tear these 2 twins apart. And then you come to find out it's a true story. Double Teamed is a true story. It actually happened in real life. Probably not the exact events that Disney Channel sold it as, but there really were 2 blonde 6'2" girls in California who lied about the school district they lived in so that one of them can play basketball. And then they both ended up playing basketball. And then they both became professional women's basketball players on opposing teams. Love that. Who remembers The Luck of the Irish? That movie, would that stand up now? Now that I'm starting to be like, that movie was so good, but would it stand up now? The whole your land is my land? Actually, no, it does not stand up, because that whole your land is my land, no, screw that. We're gonna really try to play that card, like the we all can share it from the Great Hill Mountains to the gorgeous sea or whatever. No, we stole this land, we ripped it from people, this is not our land. This is cursed land, rightfully so, from the crimes that have been committed and the blood that has been spilled. Sorry, I'm not trying to make it dark. But back to Look at the Irish. Imagine finding out that your mother is a leprechaun. Imagine being like the basketball player, and then you start to shrink, and then your hair turns orange, and then your ears get pointy. Like, that is a nightmare. I feel like that movie is low-key about ginger hatred, because they're literally making this guy lose everything as he becomes more ginger, as he becomes shorter. Like, no respect for short kings, no respect for gingers. And maybe that was the time, and that's real messed up, because maybe that was propaganda. Now that I'm thinking about it, this might be redhead propaganda. The things you realize when you evaluate the movies you love. But that grandpa, he was funny and mean. He was all like, I'm old, look at my long beard. That could be a funny costume, now that I'm thinking about it. Green bodysuit, brown like button-up old man vest, really long beard. Now we are speaking my language. Now adding the grandpa from The Look of the Irish to my list of Halloween costumes. That is so niche, but what's the point of living if you're not going to be niche? What's the point of living if you're not going to be camp at least a little bit in life? And I know that I took us really far back. Pop star, Look of the Irish, Double Teamed, but bringing us into a little bit more current day, I'll say like the early 2000s, this might be one of my favorite movies ever for Disney. And by that, I mean, I feel like I could watch it on repeat. So thank you, Brenda Song. She put in so much work. She did so much for the Disney Channel. Like a fact, she's always snubbed. She's continuously snubbed. We'll have a day where we talk about how Brenda Song has been snubbed far more than she deserves. The Disney Channel original movie, Stuck in the Suburbs. When you watch that movie back, that cast is stacked. Are you kidding me? Who doesn't love the plot of a girl trying not to act like a fangirl and then ending up with his cell phone and then controlling his life? But the thing is, everyone's like, you're ruining his life. You're making his life better. He does want a dog. He does want to wear jeans. He hates the hair. We just gave him the best life. And the music is good. I actually have all of the music from that movie on my Spotify, like saved. That's how good it is. Stuck in the Suburbs was peak fangirl at the time. Like, that's what it was showing us. And now it seems like child's play. Like, the way that people love pop stars back then, it really feels like child's play compared to now. Don't mess with the BTS army, because let me tell you, people are like, what's the strongest army on earth? The BTS army. No thought about it. And you're like, I was talking about military. Yeah, no, I'm still standing by my answer. You want to know what the strongest military is on this earth? Definitely the BTS army. No thought. They literally crashed the Donald Trump electional website. They can do, and literally all the BTS army, all you have to do is have one of BTS's members be like, hey, go do something about this, or I don't like this. And that army is millions who will dedicate so much of their time towards whatever they've been asked. That is amazing. That is a loyalty that is earned and not demanded. And maybe that's why there's an actual loyalty. Maybe if we led with respect and earnesty, we might be getting a lot more places. But I don't know. I don't know much. So I would say today's theme is forgotten gems. And speaking of forgotten, I forgot to find an address for today. So over here, I'm like, what's an address on the fly? Does the Emerald City make sense? Oh, okay. I thought of an address. Okay, it's not an address, but I thought of a place for the pickup. Thank you all so much for tuning in today, to listening to What Makes Me Want to Get Beamed Up, for listening to my very improvisational, inspirational episode that was just coming to me. And I was like, I have to spit this out right now. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed, maybe even laughed a little. If you did, remember to share it with one friend. And please put on your post notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. These are coming out every single week. We're doing work. So put on your notifications, like this, subscribe, share it with a friend. Again, remember, if you did laugh, you have to share it legally with a friend. Pretty please, with cappuccino on top. Thank you so much for tuning in today to find out what makes me want to get beamed up. I hope you enjoyed. I really just had to come and spit out all of these things that were in my brain. I was like, this is podcast material. And if I don't get it out right now in this moment, it's going to be lost. The comedy and the little bits and the circle backs that I think of and the callbacks that I think of, they would have just been gone if I didn't do this right now. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please put on your notifications, like, subscribe, and if you laughed, please share it with a friend, pretty please, with credit cards on top. And if you're listening up there, you can find me on the Malibu beach out in California.